Hey, what is up? We're back with another video, and this time we're reviewing our top five favorite ensembles of the 2020 year. We're going to start off with our number five on that list, which is The Devil All the Time. And for those of you that don't know the cast, it features Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Bill Skarsgård, Harry Melling, Sebastian Stan, Haley Bennett, uh, Jason Clarke, amongst others.
Right.
Um, Nick, what made this cast such a great cast this year?
I think one like the great well, first the basic thing about any having a great cast is just the acting caliber in it, and there's like a lot of like great talent. Like it's not like first off, Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson. Like one is like one of the great up and coming actors currently. The other, well, I guess he's sort of an upcoming as well, but he's also like been building a resume since Twilight ended. So like just those two alone are great additions. But then you have like Bill Skarsgård breaking out like from his Pennywise mold. Um, Jason Clarke, who I feel like is a little underrated. Like he's like roles in like Zero Dark 30 and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. He was really good in. I'm trying to remember Henry Melling. He actually has had a crazy 2020. He was in The Queen's Gambit and The Old Guard as well. So he had a crazy year. Um, so I think overall like it's a very like just high amount of acting caliber, and what brings it down a little for me, like why it's at like number five only, is that there were times where I felt like they didn't feel like they were like an ensemble in the sense that like most of these characters weren't on screen with like more than one person for no more than like 5 minutes at a time, like Bill Skarsgård and who was it, like whoever plays his wife, they like dip
Oh,
in the story, they dip
yeah,
in
I
the
know who you're
story
talking
after,
about.
yeah, they leave the story after the first act, so it's like they don't even like really matter much. Oh my gosh, who's the girl from Little Women in this one who played the like Tom Holland's sister? Because I want to give a shout
Mm.
out to her
Is
quickly.
that Eliza Scanlon or is that
I think
Haley Bennett?
I think no, I think oh, I think it's Eliza Scanlon. I think it's Eliza
Yeah, I think
Scanlon.
so. Yeah, I
She
think
was
so too.
she Yeah, she was great, and like she probably I think interacted with the most people, like between Holland, Pattinson, um who else, and like her grandma. She was a great addition. I liked her. Pattinson and Holland played off well with each other, even though they really only had like one scene together. Um, let's see, Sebastian Stan was really good, even though he really like was on the peripheral. Overall, like it was just great performances. Just the fact that like not all of these characters like hung out with each other, so it never felt like they were a true like ensemble all the time. That's kind of like my overall thoughts.
Yeah, I think for me, the cast elevates the script
Mhm.
in the story itself because I think I like the film. I think there's a lot of work, and I honestly think a miniseries would have served the story better for developing characters. But I do think this cast really elevates it, especially Robert Pattinson. Um, he really conveys this twisted priest really well, and I think his relationships with Tom Holland's the character's sister, and as well as Tom Holland himself, really brings the story to another level in those
Yeah,
scenes.
for sure.
Sebastian Stan is great at playing like a bad guy. If you guys saw him in I, Tonya,
Hmm.
um, he plays a bad guy really well,
Hmm.
or a foil, if you want to call it that. Harry Melling, this dude is so good as a supporting act, like character in anything he's in. He plays the character so well, of
Hmm.
being this kind of like weird, creepy, cultist guy.
Crazy,
Yeah,
crazy
crazy
guy.
guy. And I mean, he gets what's coming. You know what I mean? But in like a weird way that you don't even feel satisfied by it. Of course, it's purposeful. And Jason Clarke and his wife's character in the film are both interesting. I think, there's more to be done with that film, just script wise than anything. But I think overall the cast was really good.
Yeah, and even in like even though I said like we said like they're really only together in like pockets of time, I still think the chemistry amidst like the various combination of characters was still relatively strong, even if it was like when Tom Holland was picked up by Jason Clarke and Riley Q, his wife. and like that
Right.
short like tense scene they had in the car, like that was still like great chemistry all around, even if it's like for like a brief moment in the film's time. So that's another great aspect to them all.
Yeah, let's move on to our number four in this list. Starring Sacha Baron Cohen, Eddie Redmayne, Jeremy Strong, Mark Rylance, Yahya Abdul Mateen, um, Frank Langella, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Keaton. I haven't even finished the cast list. There's even more people who are still great as supporting actors, but those are the main cast in Trial of the Chicago Seven. What were your thoughts on this ensemble?
I think, well, one, like I feel like if you throw in any group of people under Aaron Sorkin's dialogue writing, you're gonna get like a lot of like chemistry and firecrackers. And that was definitely very evident in like any moment in this film. Like I don't like I let's see. I'm trying to like call up like specific examples, like Yahya Abdul Mateen II and like facing off against the judge, played by Frank Langella. I thought that was always a very entertaining and like very like dramatic aspect of the film, to see the various like members of the titular seven like interact amongst each other, like Redmayne playing off of Jeremy Strong, for instance. They really built out these like dynamic personalities, and they were like again, like just the chemistry between them all was really great. It was really like again dynamic, and you felt like there was like these weren't friends, these there was still like conflict between them all, and it really did feel like this like group of people that were like flung together under like really bad circumstances. Even Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was kind of like in some ways the peripheral character, as he wasn't like part of the, he was like one of the bad guys per se. Like he did a great job playing off of them as well. There's that one scene where he's like talking with Jeremy Strong and Sasha Baron, like during a break in the trial, and then like even then you see like such great um characterization happening between all of them. And I think, oh, like this is probably just because this is how award seasons love to go. This is probably gonna get the SAG for best ensemble. Obviously, as the fourth one, this is not what we necessarily agree on, but I feel like this definitely stands a chance of getting nominated, because it's a lot of like well-established actors in a period piece doing their thing under a well-respected writer. So, um, very entertaining ensemble though. But um, I don't know. I guess I'll let you take it from here. Expand on that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have the things I like about this film and the things I don't. As I like to say, Small Axe Mangrove is the film this film's trying to be. Um, and I think what it does great is the cast itself elevating the characters, because I think the characters really help you connect to the story, but I think the story itself kind of doesn't feel as impactful as it could. But I think Sacha Baron Cohen brings a emotional heart and a great humor. Him and Jeremy Strong bring next level humor in this film. Every single scene, they just absolutely bring it. The other thing is Mark Rylance as a lawyer. Mark Rylance is always good in films, right? There's never a film he's like bad in. But this film especially, he really brings it to the next level, and I really appreciated that performance. Yaya, I mean, he's not given a ton to do, but when he's on screen, you are watching everything, every little move that he's doing, because it is breathtaking. Your eyes go straight to him, and his performance leaves, it's perfect for each scene that he's in. I think what really hinders this film is no character is given quite enough that you feel like, wow, that's a character I'm always going to remember. It just feels like a really, really good ensemble. But let's move on to our next film. So we had Trial at number four. We're moving on to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at number three, starring Chadwick Boseman, Viola Davis, Taylor Page, Coleman Domingo. Shout out to Coleman Domingo. I'm always going to be riding that wave on that train for him to get more roles. Glenn Turman, Jeremy Shamins, Michael Potts, and more. So, Nick, what were your thoughts on this ensemble?
Compared to the first two films, there's a lot of like unknowns, or not necessarily unknowns, but a lot of lesser known actors. But they definitely like they again, like I don't want to keep being this point, but like it's a critical point when you're talking about ensembles. But like the chemistry between all of them is really like natural. And what I think what surprised me the most was how the band managed to still stand out. Because I feel like in like cases of like a band or like just like a group in general, when you have like your protagonist and then you have like him playing off against the group, usually there's only one character of that group that manages to stand out. The other like members usually just blend together, but everyone like had their own personality. You had Toledo, the older guy, like he had like his moments to shine and like his own like they were like making fun of him, he was making fun of them. You have Coleman Domingo doing his thing. I agree too, he does great in the role. I would love to see him in more stuff. um Gosh, I'm kind of trying to remember their bass player's name, but even him, he too, even though he had like the less lines of the three band members, he was still like managed to make his mark. And um they managed to give him like that characterization, and to see Chadwick Boseman like kind of like rotating between all three of them and like playing off each one, that was just like really really great. And that's only the first act. That like, Ma Rainey doesn't even really show up till like 30 minutes into the film, and she brings along this like her stuttering nephew, who I thought was just going to be used as a gimmick, but even he has like some personality. Like, he like talks back to Chadwick sometimes, which I thought was really funny. um you have the two white producer guys who are like provide their own like perspective and like pushback on certain scenes. It was just like a lot of I just enjoyed like how the writing like placed everyone. Like everyone had their own little spots in the story, and everyone like performed to that. Like everyone performed it like really well and helped move the story along. They were just kind of just they just weren't like there. Like um John Carroll Lynch in Trial was really entertaining, but he was also kind of just there for no like his purpose in the story was like drastically low compared to others. But here everyone felt like they had a perspective to give. They had a reason to like push some sort of either a character arc or something forward. And that whole like makeup of the cast like directly like involved in how the story progressed. I guess that just comes with Ma Rainey being a play originally, but that's what I really appreciated about this cast.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the testaments early on when I knew this film was going to be really good was because the first 10 minutes, this group of people together, you have Levy, you have Cutler, you have Toledo, and you have Slow Drag. And three of them have been friends for years, right? Maybe a majority of their life in the band together. And then you have Levy, played by Chadwick, who's new. In this dynamic, you can tell that those three are friends, and it seems so genuine that it makes you feel like your friend who's known them for 20 years. Their friendship seems so genuine and their chemistry so good that you completely buy into the story at that point. And then Levy being kind of the curveball thrown at them. I love that interaction between them, how they make fun of each other, how they make fun of when there's a new guy in the group, he's going to get tested, and they really test him in the beginning and throughout the film. And I think they really play off each other well. There's a scene between Coleman Domingo and Chadwick Boseman's character, without really spoiling it too much, um, related to Coleman Domingo using a chair and Chadwick chasing after him. That's the least spoiler way I'll put it. Where you just believe what's going on, and you believe that the kind of beef between the two characters. And then Ma Rainey in her relationship with the agent, um, and with Taylor Page's character, Ducey May, I believe she's called, is so authentic. You feel arcs for the characters, and you feel like each character has their own, small or large, they have arc. Whereas like Trial, you kind of feel like people are just there. Every character has an arc of some sorts. And you really believe that through the characters. Viola Davis brings an amazing performance, as does Chadwick and the rest of this cast. I just
Yeah,
think this film is fantastic and deservedly a top five. That
right.
I would hardcore say this is the first film on our list. I'd say any year would deserve to be a top five ensemble
Mhm.
cast.
I would, yeah, I would. I just also want to give a shout out to Viola, just because like for being the titular character, like she's in it a lot less than you'd expect, but she brings so much like swagger and personality, and she plays off everyone. So like I think she's the one character that actually like kind of like like ping pongs back and forth between like the band, the producers, like her own inner circle, and she does it all so effectively well. And a lot of it hinges on her just as much as it does on like Chadwick driving scenes. So I have to like give a shout out to her.
Yeah, 100%. Let's move on to our number two film, which is The Five Bloods. This film is all sorts of awesome, directed by Spike Lee, and has Chadwick Boseman, Delroy Lindo, Jonathan Majors, um, Clark Peters, Norm Lewis. Uh, I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Paul Walter Hauser plays a small role in this film, as does Mulaney, Terry. But that's the main cast list. What were your thoughts on this ensemble?
It, this is arguably the smallest ensemble because I know for me, like I consider the four vets and Jonathan Major as like the kind of like the core characters. But even there, like you had to Spike Lee had to establish that these four guys, you know, were through war together and fought together and lost a comrade together, and now we're going back to the place that they lost the guy in order to find the guy's body and find this treasure. And then again, just like the key thing to having being an ensemble is making sure that every character stands out, which is something that like you said it, Trial had an issue with, and even Devil had an issue with. Like some characters were like very thin on characterization, like they were just like the actor was just able to power through and give them something, but like other than that, the writing wise there wasn't much. But here, like I'm trying to remember everyone. Like Norm Lewis was the one who wanted to like give the treasure like to like Black Lives Matters like organizations or whatever, and then like Delroy Lindo and someone else, I can't remember who, like kind of wanted to like keep it to themselves. They're like, we're owed that. And that like push and pull between the four of them alone was just like really great to see, because it would have been one thing to have them like all like united in this purpose, but like they're just barely like united like under the same umbrella of what they want to do. So I thought that was just really, really great. I enjoyed Jonathan Majors like as the new kid, like the fresh perspective playing off everyone. And then yeah, like the the mind sweeping team they found, like Paul Walter Hauser, they were like a nice addition to help like again just provide another perspective, because these four veterans are like so far deep into their heads, like to have these different perspectives, like analyzing them and giving them like pushback or feedback on certain things. I thought that was just a great back and forth overall between everyone involved.
Right. I remember there was someone who actually goes to Ithaca College. You see the hat right back there, who is on the set of The Five Bloods
Mhm.
uh, when they were shooting, I believe it was in Vietnam. Um, and I remember he told me about it. I'm like, what's it like? And he's like, I can't tell you, but like, watch it when it comes out. Um, so I saw this film, and so many things struck me. I think Chadwick Boseman's amazing as the leader of the group.
Yes.
Whenever they do those flashbacks, you buy that like he is the leader of this group. He is, emotionally as well as literally being higher ranked.
Right.
Um, Delroy Lindo and his kind of dealing with PTSD as a character. His arc is so amazing. Both Chadwick and Delroy Lindo could be nominated. I think very well could win for
Oh
this
yeah,
role.
100%.
Um, Jonathan Majors is great as bringing kind of a more of a the audience's perspective as much as any character is in this film,
Mhm.
um, and a youthfulness that's good in combating kind of the old ways, even though the old ways are in conflict. Um, and Clark Peters, Norm Lewis are all great. And the way this builds tension and the way these characters are building tension with each other, I think is really excellent.
Right.
Even before they leave for the trip. I think, God, Jonathan Majors' father is Delroy Lindo, correct?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
am I crazy? Okay.
No, you're
That
right.
all right, that relationship when they're in this is spoilers. It'll be like a minute of spoilers and we'll jump right back out. So I'll wave my hands now and I'll wave my hands again once we're done. So spoilers, um, when they're in the mine and they're trying to pull him off the mine, there's a switch that happens in Delroy Lindo, that you can just kind of see in his face and the tone of voice and everything when Jonathan Majors steps on a mine. after I think it's Norm, Eddie gets blown up. And there is a nerve of what happens, and you feel for Delroy Lindo that even as he's struggled to be a father and he hasn't really been a good father to his child, that he cares about that kid. Like that's one of those moments that you're just like, and you buy the fear in Jonathan Majors, which Jonathan Majors 2020 was your year, man. I've started watching Lovecraft. I'm 6 episodes through and I'm really liking it.
Nice.
Um, I think this cast is fantastic. I think each character has a depth to it and their interactions are great. I think this is one of the best ensembles as far as creating emotion. And as far as a drama goes, I think as a drama, this is the best ensemble.
100%. I agree.
Let's move on though, because there is one that we thought was slightly better. And it's different. You know, The Five Bloods is much different than our number one film, which is The Gentleman. Now, The Gentleman stars Charlie Hunnam, Matthew McConaughey, Hugh Grant, Michelle Dockery, Colin Farrell, Henry Golding, Jeremy Strong. Jeremy Strong is on this list twice. Very impressive, Jeremy.
Right.
And more characters in supporting roles who are also great. But what were your thoughts on this film and how its ensemble is and how it differs from the other films on our list?
Right. This film is probably not going to get any recognition from SAG or like in terms of like the best ensemble award, which is crazy to me, just because like this is like the synthesis of like everything we've been talking about like comes to play here. You have like the characters like pushing the story forward, like in Mario. You have like the firecracker like chemistry like seen in like in Trial. Like you just um and I think one of the things that matters the most is that like all these characters matter in like The Gentleman, both on a writing aspect and just like for in terms of like personality and how like the like they need each other. Like every character here is needed. Like arguably, like I know like we were saying in like Ma Rainey, like every character has a part to play, but like also like they reasonably could have like cut like either the bass player or like just the one producer to like like streamline if they wanted to. Like they, I wouldn't advise it, but like they could have if they wanted. But like here in Gentleman, it's hard to say like who you could have cut because everyone is so needed in the story and everyone's just so, again, to use the word, dynamic in the role. Like you got Matthew McConaughey like kind of doing his Matthew McConaughey thing, but also like there are several scenes where he gets like pissed off, and I'm like you buy him as like this like ruthless like gangster role. You have Henry Golding, like who I've only seen him in Crazy Rich Asians where he was the ultimate nice guy. Like here he's a real like jerk, and I like you buy him as a jerk. Like I really hated like seeing him on screen, even though like I loved him in Crazy Rich. Um, and I think also how a lot of it has to do with Guy Ritchie. Like he's known for like creating those like wacky, like idiosyncratic, like vulgar characters, and it, like he couldn't have picked a more perfect set of people to like bring that to life. Just to see the like Charlie Hunnam and Colin Farrell and Hugh Grant, the three of them play off each other. That alone would have been perfect. But then you add in everyone else, and it's just really fun to watch these characters like ping pong back and forth from each other, and the way they like are utilized, I think, makes them the most entertaining cast, and in some ways the most meaningful cast, because every character in a way like gets their due. They feel like they've earned their spots by the end of the film. um is there anyone that does, like even Jeremy Strong, like, he's arguably handed the smallest role of the ensemble, but he's still like he's still integral to what happens, and he's still so important. He still gets his big scenes, and I think it's just the cast that I have the most fun watching, and the cast like I feel is just the most in sync with each other.
100%. I would say Colin Farrell and Colin Farrell especially, but a lot of these roles are something you'd read on the script and you'd be like, this could be tough to pull off. You know what I mean? Like to make it believable yet fun and kind of outrageous at the same time is a really difficult task, even for someone of Guy Ritchie's caliber as a director. And he really goes for it in this film, and every actor steps up to the plate and hits it out of the park. Charlie Hunnam, his relationship with Hugh Grant is amazing. I know the scene at the end between the two, you're just like, oh, he got him. Like he and Hugh Grant, he brings this cockiness to the character, this know-it-all, this he knows how to play every little scenario out, and the way they use that as a narrative device, I think was really excellent and could be really boring if you don't have someone like Hugh Grant delivering these monologues. Um, let's talk about some of the other performances. We have Matthew McConaughey, who's both intimidating and fun. And he delivers some of the best lines in the film, and he delivers them with kind of not the comedic McConaughey, but like the serious McConaughey,
Right.
which I thought was a blast. And I think that's the biggest thing. All these characters make this film a blast. But I
Mhm.
keep on coming back to Colin Farrell's character. Um, what's the character's name who they kidnap in the car?
Oh,
Um,
fuck.
yeah, fuck.
Fuck or something like
Um,
that.
right. Yeah. Excuse me as I fix my camera real quick. But that
No.
that character is so next level as far as how he brings out those moments, and like that moment might be kind of funny, but his
Yeah.
reactions, the little movements and body language, like really, that's his name,
Mhm.
and how the guy next to him reacts, it just perfectly works. And I think everything builds together, and I think these characters and the acting performances build up and build up, and every
Yeah.
relationship's believable. If they have an off-screen dynamic from beforehand, you buy that they have that off-screen dynamic, and then you
Mhm.
get like Henry Golding, who's just like the Gen Z, like annoying kid who's
Yeah.
in over his head.
Mhm.
And he plays that really well. I think that may be the only performance that I was like, yeah, it was fine.
Mhm.
It was maybe a little bit over the top, but other than that, I think this ensemble's fantastic.
I really hope, like, I really hope the SAG like gives it a nomination, or someone somewhere who, like, where they give out, like, they award the ensembles. Like, I hope they get something, because there's too much chemistry, too much flair, and too much style in this cast to not like recognize them.
Yeah, and let's give some honorable mentions because we only included films in this ensemble that we both saw.
Right.
So there's one I want to shout out. I'm going to keep on talking about this film all year long, so you're never going to stop hearing about this. But it's Small Axe of Mangrove. The full cast. It's a lot of people who I didn't know as actors or actresses before I saw the film. Especially Letitia Wright
Right.
is fantastic in this film. I cannot recommend it enough. The cast, the dynamic between them, the courtroom scenes are next level. The combination of humor and emotion that sometimes happens within the same scene is just amazing, and everyone brings it. But is there any honorable mentions that you want to say?
I want to give a shout out to the boys in the band. It's another play adaptation. They actually recruited the same, I think, the 100% the same crew they got from the stage, and that's another cast that, like, really just comes alive together. A lot of the movie and story happens in like one room, and just to see, like, people, just to see these personalities again, just like going off of each other. There's a lot of like um I'm trying to figure out how to like best like describe it. It's just so like engaging. You can't take your eyes off of them. They're, again, it's just in one room, so you so much like of the, like, the pain and the intensity and the, like, sadness that, like, drives, like, the story is just like occurring from, like, these characters, like, talking and interacting. And there's so many moments where I was just like, that's like that's like heartbreaking to hear. I That cast is like Jim Parsons, Matt Bomer, Robin DeJesus, like Andrew Rannells. They're another one I hope would like to see a SAG nominate, or just some sort of ensemble nomination, because they are just really, like, well in sync together. They know each other well. Again, they performed on stage together, so there's that. And they just very charismatic. That's the word I really have to describe. Charismatic, and so much of the story rests on their ability to like give a speech or whatnot. So they're another cast I would have. That's another cast I really love to watch interact.
Yeah, and I know you can find Boys in the Band on Netflix, right? And Small Axe is on Amazon Prime Video. But I'm just going to plug where all of these films are. So if you want to see any of them, you know where they're at. Devil All the Time, Trial Ma Rainey, and The Five Bloods are all on Netflix. As far as The Gentleman, I think it may just be, I don't think it's a Warner Brothers film, right?
No, I think right now it's on video on demand. Although I did actually catch it on TV like a few days ago, so they're already showing it around. So I guess if you try your luck at searching it up, it'll be there somewhere there.
Yeah,
It's worth it, even if you have to like rent it off YouTube. It's worth it.
yeah. Watch the movie. You'll have a blast watching it. I guarantee it. Um, but with that, that wraps up our top 5 ensembles of this year, 2020. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.